Did you hear from any of the other members of the committee as to whether they're going to?
Just Mark. Mark said he was going to be late. But I have not heard from Ben. Oh, here comes Molly. Excellent.
Hey, everyone.
I was just texting you, Molly.
I am trying to contain the boys.
There we go. Well, at least so we have a quorum. So we will get started. As chair of the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Public notice of this meeting was posted on the town website and on the bulletin board of the town offices at 10 Front Street. As provided in that public notice, the public may access the meeting online and via phone. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We will start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there was anyone in the room with you during this meeting and who that person is, which is required under the right to know law. I will begin. I'm Robert Kelly, the chair of the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee, and I am alone in the room. Carl?
I'm Carl Wickstrom, member of the committee, and I am alone in the room.
Ben?
I'm Ben Mosier. I'm a member of the committee, and I'm also alone in the room.
And we'll wait till... There's Molly. How you doing? Can you
Hi.
introduce yourself?
Yes, Molly Cowan, Select Board Rep, alone in the room.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate you guys coming out. It's unfortunately a relatively full agenda here, but Mark says that he is going to be a little late, but he will join us. So what I was going to do, we have 9 abatements. They look fairly straightforward. So I guess I'd like to do those first, and then we'll discuss the rate adjustments after that. So I do not see, let's see the participants. So I don't see anyone else who has weighed in besides Nicole. Nicole Reese owns My Reese. Is it Reese or Reese?
Reese
Salon at 137 Portsmouth Ave. And
Yep.
She was number 3 on the abatement list, but since she is here in person, we will take her first. So again, it's 137 Portsmouth Avenue. It looks like that there was a larger bill than normal. The landlord reached out to Nicole to pay the bill. She was unaware that anything had happened. Is there anything in particular, Nicole, that you would like to tell the committee?
We didn't realize there was a problem, and we didn't fix any problem. So I guess I was just confused of why it was just like 1/4 so high, and then it just kind of stopped. So I even asked my staff, do you guys remember a toilet running or anything? And even my manager, they're like, no. So that's why I called.
So does the landlord, so you pay the utilities, but did the landlord indicate that was a plumber brought in or anything to do any investigation?
I didn't even think to ask on their part, but my property management, they send me my bills, and she had no clue what was going on because I had emailed her back and said this was a running toilet, I guess. And she said, oh, wow, I'm glad you caught on to that. So she had no idea what it actually was, but I never thought to ask if they had sent anyone out to the property. But no one came into my unit, and I don't know if it's per unit, correct?
I mean, I don't know. We just got the request. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't know. At first I was like, this has to be maybe the grocery store's bill. I don't really know because we're in the plaza.
So you're not sure if this bill pertains to the whole plaza or just you?
It says it was just me, but I was like, is this the whole building that I'm getting billed for? And she said, no, this was just my unit. So I'm like, there has to be an error or something. And so when I called the town, she said, oh no, a running toilet can actually use that much water. And I said, yeah, but my toilet wasn't running. So I don't really know what happened.
Did you meet with the water and sewer folks when they came out to investigate?
No one has come out.
Huh. Anybody have any questions or comments at Carl?
Yeah, this is from back in September and October. Is when you had all this, or are you sure that, maybe it happened a long time ago and nobody noticed that it was running back in September and October, the toilet? Because you could have something actually stuck and holding the flap open, and then finally it falls through and the flap closes, on its own.
Oh, so it can fix itself?
It's things like that are possible.
I have no clue.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, if it was back in September and October, somebody, when did you ask your staff?
It just seems like something really sneaky that can potentially happen and be very expensive that can be unknown,
Yeah. Well, that's the way it is, unfortunately. But when did you ask your staff about hearing about the toilet running? Was that just recently?
Recently. My manager's been there for 3.5 years. She said, I don't think so. I said, okay.
Yeah. But then, if it was several months ago, it's, you forget such things. So.
Oh, I think I wrote on the thing that by the time, I just got this recently, this bill, because how they bill me, my landlord, I don't see them right away, and they paid it. And so now it's been, a few months into the new year. So yeah, a lot of time has gone by.
Did you close it all last year, Nicole?
Yeah, we were closed for 2 months, I believe, during COVID.
Like April, May, or?
Yeah.
So
I think we were back June. I think we reopened June, yeah.
Because if you reopen in June, then, and this bill was for October, then it would have included the quarter of just reopening. So, and
oh, do you think it was during COVID?
I mean, there's not a lot of information, so we're trying to figure it
was
out.
September, October. I mean, you look at the usage by month.
Yeah.
And it's September, October of last year, I believe.
Right.
I'm reading it wrong.
But it's, after they had just reopened.
Yeah, the quarter after, yeah.
I mean, typically, again, our general policy is that the meter user or the ratepayer is responsible for items inside their use or their space, whether it's residential or commercial. Mm-hmm. This appears to be, and there are several of these tonight where there are some unexplained circumstances. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we don't know, if the unexplained is that people just didn't hear anything or what. I mean, generally, it's not the meter that is a problem. 98.9% of the meters work just fine. And generally, they slow down, not speed up if they're delinquent. So, I mean, I don't know what the consensus might be before we vote, but I would say this might be a half abatement or might be reasonable, since there's no definitive explanation as to what might have happened, but clearly, it's the responsibility of the ratepayer to manage their system. So,
yeah, I would think it would be along the lines of some of the other things we've done to do a half abatement in this case, where it's unknown.
So typically,
I'm really anxious when I walk by the bathroom now. I walk by and I'm like, I try to like listen, like, because I've never heard of anything like this before, and I've been there
it takes something like this to alert people that you know, they need to pay attention. Back in the day when the rates were a lot lower, nobody cared. now it adds up very quickly. So,
and I've been there for 13 years too, and I just got surprised by this one.
Hi, Mark. How are you? Could you just quickly, Mark, introduce yourself since you came in a little late?
Sure. Yeah, Mark Fabian, member, and I'm alone in this room.
Thank you. So if there's no further discussion or input, I would make a move that we approve a 50% abatement of the water and sewer, which the excess water and sewer, which would amount to a bill, an abatement of $2,232.53.
I second.
Any further discussion? So, Nicole, what we've done is move to sort of meet you halfway. We'll abate half of that over usage, but again, it is the ratepayer's responsibility.
Okay, I appreciate that.
We're going to abate half of it, or recommend to abate half of it. So we will take a roll call vote. Carl, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So it passes 5-0, and you will get appropriate credit on your bill of $2,232.53.
Great, thank you.
You bet, our pleasure. Okay, I don't see that anyone else has weighed in, so we'll just go to the next one. We'll go right up to the top of the list.
Bob, before I go too far, I apologize, but can someone forward me the background information? I don't recall seeing that data come through.
Oh, okay.
I must have missed it. Sorry.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, so the next one, I'll do this. I'll try to do two things at once here, Ben.
I can forward it, Bob, if you want to just keep going.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you. Yeah, it was from April 30th, Shirley's email on April 30th. So the next one is Lorraine Bush at 103 Hayes Park. And just looking, it looks like the actual property owner lives alone, is elderly, has a companion assistant that visits frequently, flushed the toilet, and it ran unnoticed until they returned. This would seem to fall under the case of a unavoidable accident. It wasn't the ratepayer's fault or anything. It was an accident by a healthcare worker.
And it was only about 3 days, it looks like, or two or three.
Right. It looks like they rectified it fairly quickly. Nicole, you're more than welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Stay, though. This is really exciting stuff.
It's so exciting. Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
Bye.
So, any discussion or comments?
I think this is one that at least 80% abatement would be in line, or even 100%. But certainly more than the 50.
Any other input on 80% water and sewer, excess water and sewer abatement? I will second that motion. $183.29. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Carl, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Sorry, aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. 5-0. We will abate the bill for $183.29. So the next one is Molly Zarolo at 53 Lincoln Street. Evidently, there's an outside water source that, again, without somebody telling us otherwise, it seems like there was some vandalism, maybe. I don't know. Did anybody else read between the lines as to what may have happened here?
It sounded like more like there was a frozen, something froze that wasn't disconnected or turned off and drained. I believe that's the one. This is the one that had. Is this the one with the dental van?
Yeah, the dental van, but it says that it was turned on without their knowledge. So I don't know what that means exactly, but it seems like there was an event of some sort that that was certainly an accident, but.
And once again, it was only a couple of days that this happened.
Right. Again, I would say this would fall under the 80% abatement, excess water and sewer, since it was an accident. They did not appear to know what was going on. Would someone care to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we abate 80% of the excess sewer and water for this case.
I can second.
A second?
Yeah, I can second that.
Thank you. Further discussion? Carl, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay. Next one is an interesting one. John Adams at 208 Front Street. This, I don't know if anyone got a chance to read his letter, his handwritten letter.
Oh, yes.
It does seem bizarre. It sounds like
it's not that bizarre.
It's easy to blame the meter, but
it's really not that bizarre. It's 300 gallons an hour, which is about 5 gallons a minute. A water hose, an outside water hose left going half flow will do 5 gallons a minute, because a water hose will do 10 gallons. So it's not that. It's not as outrageous as he makes it sound. So
why don't you go ahead and I'll be done in an hour? Huh? An hour. Okay, so are we thinking that his claim that it wasn't him, or that something bizarre happened didn't happen? I mean, again, the abatement is not significant. I'm not quite sure what the issue is anyway. But
no, it's just his arguments is specious at best.
Specious. So is the
isn't that a legal term?
Is the inclination to possibly deny the abatement request?
I don't think that's necessary. I mean, it's certainly just because he's not owning up to being somewhat responsible. I think it's still, given the precedents we have of 50% of unexplained, it's still an unexplained issue, nonetheless.
That sounds more than reasonable. Anyone want to make a motion in that regard? Anyone?
All right, sorry, I was just reading the letter. I'll make a motion for 50% abatement.
So it's been moved to abate $64.53. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Carl, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will inform Mr. Adams that he will get an abatement of $64.53. Next is Sally Leary, representing Bank Rock LLC at 1 Hampton Road. Again, I mean, the toilet, it was triple flushing. I'm not quite sure what that means. And that it remained running for several minutes. I guess it sounds like their plumbing fixtures have some issues. Did anyone get the impression one way or the other if the space that they're talking about is occupied? Because it sounds like if a toilet runs for that long after you flush it, that somebody would notice. It's clearly running for quite.
He calls it a tenant space, which to me would imply there's a tenant, but I don't know. And I can't tell that I haven't seen any evidence that this has been repaired or fixed either from the documentation we have. Did somebody see that it was?
Yeah, I mean, all they did is replace the meter because it was one of the older meters, which we're doing anyway as a town. And they said, and the applicant said, we are hoping that this was the cause of the high usage, which is not. I mean, again, when meters get older, they slow down, they don't speed up.
Well, I would like to have some evidence that whatever the problem is gone away before we, have to come back again in next quarter because it's continuing to be an issue.
I think that's reasonable. So we would move to table this until they provide evidence that a plumber has looked at the toilet in question and made some adjustments or fixed it or replaced it or something like that. Is that?
Or even the measurement of the leak by the water department. I can't tell that was even done. So, or leak kit or any of that.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion in that regard?
I move that we table action on this application until more evidence is provided.
Second?
I'll second that.
Was that you, Mark?
Mark, yep.
Thank you. Further discussion? Take a roll call vote. Carl, how do you vote? To table the assessment. Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will table this and I will give feedback to the department that we need more information. Okay. Next one is Rhonda Cohen at 1 Elm Street. It seems like there's a there was a definitive leak, but the department wasn't able to access it right away. And also the repairs were delayed due to that. I don't know.
Am I looking at the same chart, which shows continued leak up to end of February, or continued high flow at least?
It does, and again, there's no indication that a plumber or that the issue has been repaired.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the bill for the monthly, and it's gone down somewhat, but not down to previous levels. So it still seems like there's some issue.
Seems like something's still going on. So we would need to see a return to normal usage or historical usage and evidence of a plumber repairing whatever potentially caused the leak. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
I will move to table this for the same reasons as number 5.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussions? Carl, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will table this and request more information, including evidence that a plumber has reviewed and repaired what has caused the leak. Okay, number 7, Eric and Litsa Maskawa at 11 Gill Street. So evidently they bought the property at the end of 2020 and are renovating it. And a leak occurred in January. Again, they don't really say in detail if there was heat on or anything or what the details are of the leak. I don't know if they were using the toilet facilities during the renovations or what.
It looks to me like they were having they said they were having the pipes evaluated by a plumber, and they replaced all this piping, and it drops down to 20 gallons a month after this. So it's a matter of not turning the water. I guess the total water feed to the house was left on by one plumber, and then it got fixed by another plumber, and then it was turned off again. But the only question I have on this one is what the water department used as the normal usage, because the normal usage for this event would be the 20 gallons a month, given that they had the water off until the negligent plumber turned the water on and left it. So I just think we've got the wrong basis here for this one.
Well, we have asked in the past if there's situations like this where there was a third party that was potentially responsible for the leak, in this case, the plumber, have asked them to discuss the issue with the plumber.
So she says she tried to contact the plumber, and the plumber's not returning her phone calls. The plumber that did the dirty deed, as it were, is not responding to her. So I think the homeowner's making an effort. It's, but I don't know how much of an effort they have to make.
Well, a couple of issues here. One is the fact that the house is effectively vacant, even though they're working on it. Yes, they are still responsible for it, but it is vacant. So if something happened, it does appear to be accidental or beyond their control. Possibly we recommend a 50% abatement and say that we would be open to a full abatement, but we would recommend first that they contact the plumber about covering that other half. I mean, I don't know if that's feasible or not, but again, I don't know if we should jump right into a full abatement because it was their house, and with it being vacant, they should be even more diligent about utilities, given the fact that they're not there all the time.
Yeah, along those lines, I wonder if somebody left the water running just to prevent pipe freezing if the heat was down.
That's always a possibility as well. So, if you're in and out of a house, a vacant house doing renovations, it's easy to use the toilet and then the flapper sticks and you don't know it until you come back the next day.
Is this the one where they discovered the puddle of water in the front yard? Is how they found the leak? Am I getting mixed up with a different one?
I think that was the next one, the backflow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Where did you see that they've been trying to reach the plumber, Carl? I missed that. I didn't see that in the write-up.
Yeah, I didn't.
I think that might be from another one because I've been looking very carefully on there. I don't see it either.
I mean, we could go a couple of ways. We could deny the abatement and recommend that they go after the plumber. I'm not sure that that's going to help the ratepayer out at all. So that my heart says we should, go for a 50% abatement, and then if they want to do the other 50% through the plumber, then then they can do that. That might be an easier way to do it.
Yeah, I must have gotten that confused with one of the other ones. Sorry about that on the plumber contact.
Not a problem. Any further comment or discussion? If not, I'm going to move that we approve a 50% excess water and sewer abatement of $272.73. With a recommendation that if the remainder, they can either cover or have the plumber assist on that, since it was the plumber appeared to be the plumber's fault. Second on that motion?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Oh, Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And I vote, chair votes aye. So 5-0, we will approve an abatement of $272.73 with recommendations to discuss the balance with the plumber. The next one is Rebecca and John Giannini at 126 Front Street. This again, I love the comment about it mentioned a backflow issue in the basement utility sink. They did contact a plumber, and it looks like whatever had happened with the backflow preventer that fixed the problem.
I'm not sure I understand how the backflow preventer causes a high usage rate, or lack of backflow.
And I'm not sure why snaking the line would all of a sudden miraculously make the backflow preventer work better. I would agree.
This does not seem to make any sense. So.
Well, the bottom line is whatever the problem was, they did contact a plumber and they fixed it relatively quickly. So I would recommend that we approve a 50% of excess water and sewer usage at $209.97.
Second.
That would be my motion.
Second.
Thank you. Ben, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We'll inform them that we have approved an abatement of $209.97. And the last one is Cheryl Gilman at 142 Court Street. Again, there was an unoccupied home. It looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, was this the one where they had two plumbers again? Another? Yeah, the plumber had turned the water on and never shut it off in an unoccupied home.
Yeah, this is the one I got confused with.
Right.
Before.
They don't really say why the building is unoccupied. Yeah, this is the one with the puddle in the yard. I almost would like to get a little bit more information here. Unless somebody has read something that I've missed. They don't really say why the house is empty and then why a plumber was in there turning water on and off. Does anybody have any insights? So again, we could either punt this or give them a 50% abatement and let them chase the plumber for the other 50%. Similar to
It's
the one 2 times.
suspect, but I'm not sure what other information would we get. I mean, they kind of explain and they're right up there.
Yeah, this is the one I think where she's tried to contact the plumber and it's not gotten any response back. Did I read that incorrectly?
Yeah,
she said that she's had the piping replaced inside and out, and the problem has definitely gone away. I don't know if I presume the water's it's been tested and turned back on, and it's not leaking anymore. But I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like that there's a hardship, at least what she's saying. Paying the bill would, an excess bill like this would be a hardship. Yeah,
and given that she's run into an irresponsible party that was not her fault, I mean, I'm more like leaning towards the 80% instead of the 50%. So
yeah, I would agree. Want to make that a motion, Carl?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we abate 80% of the excess sewer and water for this in this case.
It's just water, I think, in this case.
Oh, you're right. Does that mean they have a septic tank? Is that what that means? Is why it's sewer water only? I guess they're not attached to the sewer. I just out of curiosity.
It must be that.
Yeah.
Because they do say it's a water only account.
Right. So let me rephrase my motion, or withdraw the previous motion. Make the motion that we abate 80% of the water bill for this case.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We will move and seconded to abate $786.52, 80% of the excess water usage over normal. Any further discussion? Carl, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Excellent. Thank you. That was relatively painless. Thank you for everyone for weighing in. I'd like to get to the new business part very, very quickly. So we'll go over regular business just as an update on the operations. I think all of you were here last time when we discussed the siphons. Our recommendation on the option, I think it was 3A, if I'm not mistaken, was accepted by Public Works. We're also going after a grant. There have been requests to Representative Pappas. We're going after emergency funds that are potentially available. And Molly, do you have an update on when we might hear from that? Do you have a sense off the top of your head?
I mean, I think we're waiting for the Senate.
Okay. So there's been no time frame given.
No, and I think that our project is, if our state does get this funding, then yes, our project is in the top couple of considered projects, which is really exciting, but it's a matter of getting it through the Senate.
Okay. So I had a meeting with Russ to talk about budget, stuff for this year and trying to figure out how we would potentially pay for this. Jennifer put together a cash flow analysis of what monies would actually be required to cover the overage. And it appears like if they started it like imminently, that we really wouldn't need the excess monies until the very end of this year or early next year. And Jen wants to meet with us again next month to discuss where they are and what the resolutions are and everything. So there's a distinct possibility that we could maybe even wait until the vote, the town vote in 2022 to cover the overage. Hopefully the grant from Representative Pappas's office comes in, but we'll see how things go. But Jen wants to give us an update on how that shakes out, but it doesn't look like it's a financial catastrophe right this minute, but it may be in the future. Carl, you had a question?
Yeah, this grant, is it something that we could get reimbursed if the money is already spent, or is it something that has to not yet be actioned? You know what I mean? Because, well, of course, the first line, we're going to end up doing 3 lines. The first line is the most urgent.
Right.
And I presume we're going to, I can't remember what we decided. Are we going to do all 3 lines at once, or are we going to do 1 line and the other 2 lines?
Well, we're going to do all 3 lines. That was our recommendation. Anyway, right. The construction sequencing would be up to our consultants and all of that, but we're going to do all 3 lines.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
I think the discussion was that there was too much risk involved in trying to keep either of the existing siphons based on what the TV showed.
I agree. Yes.
So, and Jen will give us an update on further analysis and everything that they've done on that again in the next month or so. Hopefully, well, if you've had a chance to look at the financial reports that Laura sent, you'll see a couple of things. One is both funds have a pretty healthy fund balance as of the end of March. And then you look at the forecast summary report, you'll see that it's merely an illusion that by the end of the year, both funds are projected to have some pretty significant deficits. The sewer fund, both funds, because of some regulatory pressures that we've had to endure over the last year or so, things that need to be fixed. We had to put quite a bit of money in capital outlay for both funds for the budget for 2021 to fix some things that had been sort of lingering for quite a while. And these, that budgeting will end up putting both funds into a deficit situation. To the tune of, on the water side, around $280,000, and on the sewer side, upwards of $860,000. So I will use that as a segue into a discussion for considering a rate adjustment to alleviate that deficit. So I am going to, Russ had put together a nice little PowerPoint. See if I can find this. Here we go. So Russ had put together a little PowerPoint here that sort of describes the justification for adjusting the rates. Just some general background information. We in 2016 had contracted with Municipal Finance Services Group to develop a rate model that we have been following somewhat religiously every year since that time. We've been adjusting rates, water and sewer rates, based on the water treatment plant improvements to deal with the chloramines and chloramination, as well as the wastewater plant out on Newfields Road and the associated capital requirements and the debt requirements of both of those. Due to COVID last year, the rates were last adjusted in October of 2019, which means that we've gone now about a year and a half without an adjustment, as opposed to every year that the rate model had recommended. And by doing this, again, as we just saw, both funds are projected to be a pretty severe deficit at the end of this year because we haven't been able to adjust for additional expenses. The other issue on the wastewater side is that we have that annual debt payment of $3.5 million that no matter how high the fund balance is, that it gets sucked pretty dry at the end of every year. So just some general information that Russ put together. We're under a number of EPA and Department of Environmental Services mandates, which we continue to chip away at. Again, there have been some budget pressures by adding in projects under capital outlay. None of them are big enough to have warrant articles and things like that, but they still need to be fixed, relating to combined sewer overflows and things like that. We've had now a couple of years of operating experience at the wastewater plant, and some of the costs that were projected have gone up and some have gone down. Chemicals and some other things have actually been less than what were anticipated, but solids handling and some other things associated with the new plant are a little bit higher than anticipated. And again, so this is eaten into our fund balance. We had, as part of the original bonding, there was a state aid grant of $800,000, roughly $800,000 a year, that was going to be used to offset the debt. And we have not received that yet. We're hoping to, but with COVID and everything else, a lot of things have been delayed. So again, this further eats into our cash flow. A number of utilities projects outlined. We voted on the Salem Street project at town meeting in March. And upcoming projects will include West Side Drive, which is next on the I&I rehabilitation project list after J.D. Hill of a few years ago. And then obviously the siphons are going to be an issue, coming up in 2022. And we approved $1.6 million last year to start on this project. And obviously there have been some problems associated with that. Ongoing water projects include trying to diversify our water sources to look at increased groundwater sources. And that development program is ongoing. So I'm going to switch over from here. So the rest of the presentation is just describing the rates. And so I'm going to switch over to a different graphic. There we go. My bad. Sorry about that. So this describes the different scenarios that will alleviate the deficits that we described a little bit earlier on both the water and the sewer funds. The top box is the current rates that were last adjusted in October of 2019. Total average quarterly bill of $347 and change. For an average water user of 12,000 gallons per quarter. The next box down is the recommendations for by the rate study, and as you can see, they would jump to about $409. Unfortunately, the rates do not. If we use the rate study, does not cover the deficit on the sewer side, but it would on the water side. So then we had the folks at finance estimate what the adjustment would be to eliminate both deficits. And the impact actually goes down, again, because the water deficit was taken care of handily. So the quarterly bill under this scenario would be about $384 for an average user. But again, all this does is eliminates the deficit and doesn't account for anything potentially happening over the course of this year or early next year before we would have a chance to look at the rates again. I also had finance look at just a blanket 10% increase of the water and the sewer bills. But again, neither of the 10% increase does not eliminate the deficit on the sewer side by doing this. So I had requested them to look at basically giving us, what would it take to give us $100,000 surplus in water, which is what effectively what the rate study had recommended, but also provide a $250,000 surplus on the sewer side because there are more regulatory issues and let's say up in the air items associated with the sewer side. So we need a little bit more cushion. And sort of to my dismay, and I think to the ratepayers' benefit, is that the impacts of doing that are actually less than what the impacts of following the rate study, and only very slightly more than what it would cost to just eliminate the deficit. So effectively, the difference from $384 a quarter to $392, so $8 a quarter, we go from making the deficit zero to having a pretty healthy surplus on either side. So we've discussed this with finance. And the approach would be, if this committee sees fit, is that we would approve what I would call sort of a hybrid model of providing a slight surplus on both the water and sewer. And then I would present these to the select board this coming Monday night at a rate hearing. And then these rates would be implemented after the bills of after all of after all of the districts had been billed out. So it's beginning with the July 1st bill. So it'd be a new districting. So no district is going to be impacted by the rate increase, while the other two, potentially aren't. So everybody's going to be on level ground. So that's, in a nutshell, what some of the history was. Again, the rate model doesn't quite eliminate the deficit on the sewer side, and a little hybridization of that plus a moderate increase gives us a nice healthy surplus on both, and really only raises the quarterly bill from the current rates of about $44 a quarter, or let's say roughly $13 to $14 a month, which I thought was pretty good news, considering that we're trying to eliminate an $865,000 deficit on the sewer side and replace it with a $250,000 surplus. So by a $1 million swing, we're adding around $40 a quarter. Any questions by the committee? Carl.
When you talk about hybridization, are we paying part of the sewer cost on the water side, or am I just misunderstanding what you're saying?
No. So the hybrid is, so we have the model that we've been following for effectively, from 2019. So for 4 years, we were following the model recommendations. And then, but that covered the water deficit, but it didn't cover the sewer deficit. So then they looked at just a blanket 10% increase, and that was the same way. It covered the water, but not fully covering the sewer. And then if you zero out both deficits, that's the middle box. Again, that's a little bit less than what we're recommending, but it also doesn't give us any kind of surplus at all. So what I'm calling a hybrid is it's sort of taking the aspects of all of these, eliminating the deficit, using the model as a guide, but then also giving us a slight surplus going into 2022. So that's the hybrid aspect of it. So no, we're not paying one fund from another fund. They're totally independent.
Okay.
But in some of the other recommendations, only one of the fund's deficits were covered and the other one wasn't. Does that reasonably explain it?
Yes, I understand now. And it looks like above that zero deficit, you're increasing above that on the water side about $7. And on the sewer side about $7, and on the water side a couple of dollars, or maybe only $1. So it makes sense, since you're trying to get to 250,000 on the sewer side and only 100,000 on the water side, that's the way it come out. So it looks very reasonable to me.
Yeah, and there's no specific background for picking $100,000 surplus and 250, except experience in what kind of things have happened over the past several years and the requirements. So they were relatively round numbers based on experience as to what we need on an annual basis as a buffer of things breaking, regulatory requirements, that sort of thing.
And it's something to be evaluated again in a year or so when it's time to set the rates again.
Exactly. I mean, we'll probably be looking at this time next year because the budget, will be looked at in the fall and approved in March. And we'll sort of see what projects get approved and how the siphon thing shakes out as to what we might need to do for next year. But, this sort of readjusts what happened during our COVID year, as well as some regulatory impacts that we've had to deal with. So
this rate increase would cover making up for the siphon costs and as well as the other deficits that we're looking at?
It does not specifically make up for that $500,000 deficit on the siphon end. That's independent at this point.
Okay.
Because the project itself hasn't been finalized yet. So what we would hope to do is to either through this grant or through a vote at town meeting next year is to cover that difference. If we can't, then we would have to take care of it with a rate increase, maybe sooner rather than later, depending on. So so to answer your question, the $250,000 surplus does not pay for the added siphon cost. It's about half of it.
Yeah, so the siphon cost is not.
So what it could do is if the siphon project doesn't get completed until the end of this year, early next year, and these rates are implemented in July and build up a $250,000 surplus in sewer, then that could help towards paying for that excess on the siphon project, and hopefully from some other sources as well. Any other questions, Ben or Mark or Molly?
Yeah, Bob, sorry if I missed this, but what's the approval process for this rate increase? Does this have to go in front of the town at all, or is this
to the select board? So what the board chair Nico Papakonstantis and Molly, our representative, have requested is that we vet these scenarios as our advisory committee, and then approve something for presentation to the select board next Monday night, where there'll be an official hearing, and then presumably they will approve something, and then that gets implemented, like I say, with the July 1st billing, with whatever district is first to be billed in July 1st.
All right. Do you think we're about ready for a motion on this?
I am ready for a motion on this. I
move that we recommend the scenario at the bottom of this page, which indicates a $100,000 surplus in water and a $250,000 surplus in sewer, which actually is misspelled there, but it looks like superfluous. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I make a motion that we approve the rates that correspond to the, recommend the rates that would correspond to the $100,000 surplus in water and the $250,000 surplus in sewer to the select board.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ben. Any further discussion? Carl, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. I will put together a summary of our discussions, pass this along to Russ, and it will be presented at a public hearing on Monday night. Is that a reasonable approach, Molly, for the board?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Will that be this Monday night or a future Monday night?
Monday, May 10th. I'm not sure where it would be in the agenda, but
Well, that's my birthday. I don't think I'm going to sit.
Yeah,
on
you're not going to be weighing in. Okay. Okay. So that's all I have on the agenda. Any other business by anyone that they want to bring forward? I had originally said that we would be meeting again in July or August, depending on. I always hate to have meetings like this during the summer, but we'll see how the abatements come along and also what the DPW wants to talk about in the time frame for the siphon resolution. So I'll be back in touch with you within the next 4 to 6 weeks on what a schedule would be for another meeting.
Yeah, I just noticed somewhere in some of the documentation somewhere that it said we meet semi-monthly for this. I believe it's more bi-monthly than semi-monthly. Semi-monthly would be twice a month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's supposed to be bi-monthly.
Somewhere it says semi-monthly, and that's incorrect.
In the past, we've met when we actually have something on the agenda, and now, with abatements in our purview, that tends to be bi-monthly. Typically.
Yeah, right. So just wherever that is needs to get corrected to bi-monthly.
Right. So. All right. Okay, well, that's all I have, and I appreciate everyone's time and going through this, the abatements expeditiously, and your vote on the rates. Again, I'll be presenting this to the board on Monday night, and we will see you sometime in the next couple of months, and I'll be in touch. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.